Hey everybody, I'm Rob.
I'm Jesse.
And welcome to Glitchy Pancakes. We'll talk about the world of fandom. And today, we're actually going to talk about fandom. We're going to talk about fandom in your lives. We're going to talk about the impact that fandom has and the therapeutic effects that fandom plays in a multitude of things that we have
Yes, fandom as
going.
therapy. Ways
Fandom
to
as therapy.
ways that it is helping us get through this crazy ass situation that we're in, and ways that it's helped us get through other times in our lives. Because that's a pretty interesting thing right there. Is for most people, you're using the things that you're a fan of, whether it's reading books or watching anime or whatever it is. This probably isn't the first time that you've used that as a way to get through
Right.
a tough situation in your life. Most people, that happens as kids. But if you want to start out, just how you been doing, Rob? What's going on?
Man, I have been dealing with a stomach issue for the past couple of months.
Oh, ouch.
It's probably anxiety, but I think it's progressively getting better.
That's good. That's
Um,
good.
I think I also might have stretched my back out or something. I don't know. I'm dealing with these things. I've had some tests. Some tests have come back pretty good. Some few irregularities, but it's nothing that's not out of the app. Out of the normal.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of significant stuff has happened since then, but your stress is a bitch,
Yeah, I feel like this
and
whole situation is creating a lot of not you, but it's probably creating a lot of hypochondriacs out there because
well, yeah,
that's
sure,
everyone's
yeah,
just. I know I've become hyper attuned to any I have the
right,
slightest little cough and I'm like, what? I need to call an ambulance. What's going on
exactly,
here?
right, and and most people, and I'm bad because I'm a nurse, so
Hmm.
nurses are and doctors can be the worst. They just totally dismiss their symptoms as it's just something, but I'm really hyper aware of my health,
Yeah.
and I have health related anxiety,
Right.
which is something that can drive you up a wall. Like I don't I have like I don't get how people are hypochondriacs or have Munchausen's. I understand it. I understand the psychology behind it, but I don't ever want to be sick. I don't
Right.
want to have issues. I don't want to pretend to have issues. I want to be better. I want homeostasis like everybody else does. But
Yeah.
anyway, there have been things that have helped me out besides my fantastically wonderful, beautiful family that put up with me on a regular basis.
Yeah, they're pretty great.
And the things that have been actually helping me out are being able to sit and play video games with my wife and being able to listen to music,
Hmm.
listen to read and stuff, and
How are you finding that as a way to because I mean it's always entertainment, right? So like we're
right.
not necessarily talking about just what is the entertainment value of the things that we're fans of, because we know that obviously, but like how are you finding it to be more than that, like as a therapeutic thing or something that's helping you, like specifically dealing with like the challenges that we're dealing with now, being stuck inside, worried about your health, just seeing the world go crazy. Like how is it for you? How's it helping you get through, and like what are you
Well,
specifically finding what
well,
works?
well, let me tell you, since I and we had a discussion about this last week, full disclosure. Since one of the days here a couple of weeks ago when I was feeling probably at my worst, um
Mm.
I sat down with a Japanese cookbook that I have,
Mhm.
and I watched this show on Netflix called Japanese Style Originator. I think that's what it's called. I
Okay.
think that's the name of it. But they basically it's basically a Japanese history lesson. They teach you about things that happen in the city. They go over even things like machinery, cooking, and stuff like that. And I mentioned that because it's not in the realm of video games and comics and stuff like that,
Huh.
but it still had therapeutic effects on me. And there is a fandom that I have for the country itself, not only the food, but the culture. And
Yeah, like I know you're
so,
interested in the history and a lot of things
right,
like that.
I like a lot of history worldwide, but specifically Japan. I enjoy the history behind a lot of the things that they have to offer culturally.
Mhm.
But only reason I mentioned that is because we here at Glitchy Pancakes don't just consider video games, comics, and things like that, fandom in the realm
Yeah.
of fandom, because there are people who enjoy cooking in the realm
Oh
of
yeah, yeah.
have a fandom
Or
for it. And
gardening or making furniture
right,
or learning
right,
about the history of Estonia or just whatever. It's basically just
rearranging your
whatever
office, right,
whatever you can totally geek out about, like whatever your
right,
particular thing is, because that's kind of, I feel like that's sort of what we're talking about here with fandom as therapy, is that
right,
it's being able to immerse yourself in something. And what for a lot of people it's it's the world of a video game or of a book or a comic or movies or whatever, because those are kind of easy. Someone has created a world for you that you can jump into and just escape for
right,
a while. And I've always
right.
been of the opinion that some people will talk about, oh well, this type of literature or this type of whatever is just escapism. Like, what the hell's wrong with escapism? Escapism is great
There's
when
nothing.
you
There's
need to
nothing.
escape.
There's
um
absolutely nothing wrong with escapism. But we back to what I was saying. I want to get off far. Oh, because I want to transfer this over to you in just a second.
yeah.
Um, it I didn't think about my stomach hurting. I didn't think about my back hurting. I didn't think about anything when I could sit and watch it, and it really had that calming effect on me. It wasn't $100 whatever dollar an hour therapist.
Right.
It was something that was extremely simple that I really enjoyed putting my focus into, that made made me feel physically better for just that moment. And um me and you were discussing that there are times where people actually get to have that quote unquote therapeutic effect. It has that therapeutic effect on us. And
Yeah.
and in this time particularly, we need those things. And I think that this pandemic is going to actually create an entire genre or generation of people who it's boosted content creation
Oh yeah.
for everyone, and it just extended that family of fandom.
Yeah, and that's another. You mentioned the family of it. That's another big part of it too, is because even if it's something that you're doing as sort of a solitary thing, it's connecting you to the shared like ideas of whatever it is that you're reading. And if you're, most people are on some form of social media at least every once in a while, or doing, we do our weekly Zoom calls, the happy hours for multiverse, just get everybody
Right.
together and talk. And that, like, especially right now, but even just generally speaking, that connection with a group of like-minded people, the urge to identify and feel like part of a group and to feel accepted as part of a group, I think is one of our most primal instincts. It's really,
Yes.
it's a hugely driving factor for pretty much everyone's psychology. And as we've seen a lot, it can go very wrong if people get
Oh
hooked
yeah.
up with dangerous identities and dangerous groups. But that's why this is so useful, because it's always a good thing. I mean, that's what we love about conventions and about like online groups playing online video games and stuff, is just the connection with people, because we're absolutely psychologically built to need that. I mean, we have to have it, and then we're not getting any of that right now. Like, most people are just completely cut off from that, and so it's necessary now more than ever. And it's kind of the easiest way and one of the best ways to keep that connection going with other people is to, I mean, you've got an automatic conversation starter. If there's a movie that you like, or a book that's coming out, or an anime that you're into, you can join fan groups and things like that. And you've already got, even if you're a shy person or not that talkative or whatever, you can just jump
Right.
right in, because you already have a
Yeah.
conversation topic that everybody involved cares about. It's such an easy way to connect. And I think that's why it's being so helpful and so therapeutic for people right now, despite the fact that there are a lot of practical issues out there with, like, comic books not being able to be distributed for a while, and conventions having to cancel and stuff like that. People are adapting, and
Yeah.
that's,
They are. They
yeah. I
are.
mean,
And go ahead. You good?
oh, just I was going to say, we'll keep it up. We find ways to keep it up, and it's
Right.
a little strange that first time getting on the a Zoom call just for a online happy hour to meet up with some folks, and you just kind of don't know, like, okay, this is what do we do here? But man, you just get into it so quickly. So that's I would encourage anybody that's really feeling isolated and feels the need to connect. A lot of times, which can manifest as like you need it, but you're not consciously thinking about the fact that you need it. So you might just be feeling stuck to your couch. And if you can manage to connect with some folks online, just look up a group for whatever your favorite thing is, or find a convention group, find people that are doing online D&D campaigns, or whatever, just whatever your thing is. There's probably people out there right now who need it the same way that you do, that you can link up with and get some of that interaction even from a distance.
Right. Right. And you're absolutely right. It's something that I think, and with Zoom. By the way, we're not sponsored by Zoom, but we can be. Come on, Zoom.
We are not. Yes,
Bring
Zoom,
it.
hit us up.
Hit us up, Zoom. But I like it. I enjoy it. It's fun. Everyone gets to kind of, like you said, be together, but not really be together. This is not the first time something like this has been brought about. People are in group chats all the time. People Skype each other all the time, but Zoom is something a little bit different, particularly in the climate that we're in right now. And I think for certain that a lot of people are going to come out of this a little bit better. And I honestly think that once this is kind of over and done with, however it's going to be over and done with, there's going to be an explosion in businesses as well that provide people with other people. Well, I've had several ideas for businesses, companionship style businesses, or group friend finder style businesses,
Hmm.
connecting people. How dating websites are,
Yeah.
connecting people with fandom. And
Yeah.
I think it'd be. I mean, and what we would do is you would have scouts go out to test these people and talk to them and stuff like that and see if they're a good match, and then literally match you with friends, because we're in that spot now. We're in the
Yeah, we
social
are.
media spot now, where it's becoming a little impersonal. People
Hmm.
forget that they're talking to other people
Right.
online, and so I think once they start, because of what's happening now, they're going to have a hunger to talk to fleshy faces and not computer screens, and not
Yep.
and not cell phone screens. And everybody's kind of feeling that now. They forgot that they wanted it, and I think they're now going to want it more. And that in itself is therapeutic. That helps you with the human connection.
Yeah, and I think that's true. Like, people are gonna like see more of the value of actually hanging out with people in person. But I think there's
Right.
also a separate. There's like two paths that this is going down at the same time,
Yes,
because
yes,
there's
there is.
also we managed to like it's forcing people to mix up in different ways than they have
Right.
before. Like, I know on
Yes.
our weekly happy hour calls that I keep bringing up, like we had on this past Friday, you were on there, and we had a bunch of folks on there, which there were 4 or 5 people that I've never met before. There's one dude,
Mhm.
joined from California. He's just part of our
Right.
Facebook group, and it's people that I, I I think probably at least half the folks on that call I may never have directly interacted with before, and I don't know when I would
Right.
have in the future necessarily. But this is,
Yes.
we got into interesting conversations, and that's like, we're mixing it up in ways that we didn't necessarily. It's people being put together just based on scheduling and timing and what they're comfortable with, and meeting up in ways that they might not necessarily have actually bumped into each other before, or had they might have been too shy to do it or whatever. So it's being good. It's definitely shaking things up. And it's
Digital
helping us
mixers.
to, yeah, exactly. And it's also helping us to build like, to just build the community, because that aspect of it feeling like a group that you're really a part of, it helps with that, because this is the kind of thing that, I mean, we don't have to stop doing this whenever everything's safe again and we have a vaccine, and in-person conventions can happen again. We don't have to quit doing this. I mean, we're having fun doing it. We might as well keep this kind of thing going and let people, various random people, just jump in and be part of the group from a safe distance if that's what they're comfortable with.
Right.
And I mean, a lot of this is just going to become normal now. I think it's, in my opinion, it should be kind of expected. Like, for a convention that happens once a year, for example, why not have ways for people to stay connected the rest of the year around, not just on their own, but facilitate something. It's not that hard to do.
Right. I mean, it's gonna, sure, it's gonna create a few multiverse factions, but It wouldn't be a multiverse if it didn't have its own factions. We
And well, yeah, it kind of already is, but we got the different, like we have the
right,
different mascots, and people divide up along those lines. So
right.
we just have to keep the weapons ban in place, and
That's
make
right.
sure
That's right.
make
If
sure
they
this
do it,
doesn't.
it has to be like
Uh,
SCA ruled rattan padded foamed weapons.
oh yeah,
Nerf.
peace bonded, all that stuff. We gotta,
Right, right.
keep everything.
It's gotta be safe.
Yeah, we have to make sure that make sure we specifically outlaw dueling, um,
Right.
or
Right.
any sort of any sort of actual physical combat. We're not going to have we can't have the factions start. We can't have it devolve into a sort of Lord of the Flies or Lord of the Krakens or werewolves or whatever. And,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's you're right that it's going to be like there might be some factionalization, but that just happens as any community grows.
Oh no.
That's impossible to stop.
I want it to naturally happen because with factions you have fandom. And
Yes, and it's got to be good natured factions.
exactly. And if it's connected to multiverse, it's gonna be good natured because we're good natured con.
Yeah, I mean,
Because that's what we do.
right. We try to have the culture of respect for everyone and general positivity, so that we don't turn into. I'm not going to call out any particular fandoms, but there are some that have very strong opinions about what should or shouldn't have been done in certain books or movies, and what should or should not be canon, or who should be allowed to
You may
write
not call them out,
canon.
but I fucking will. You may not call them out, but I'll call every last one of them. They could put my name
That's
on the
fair.
list.
That's fair.
I don't care because they are. Some of them can be real mean.
You know what? You're right.
And,
Yeah.
and outright nasty to other people because they don't agree with them.
We're talking about Star Wars, right?
We're talking
We're
about
talking about
all
Star
of it,
Wars
baby.
fandom.
We're talking about all of it, baby. Because man, I
Yeah.
tell you what, I've had my battles in different fandoms with different people on a regular basis. Some people I really, really respect who just don't agree with me with some things. And of course, those conversations are very respectful
Yeah,
because we
and
both
that's fine.
enjoy. And you need to be respectful when you enjoy things like that. When you enjoy Star Wars, the whole you grew up with it, it's in your childhood, it's in your blood. When you enjoy it, it's okay to be critical of it. I think it's
Yeah.
perfectly fine to be critical of it because it's something that you expect some things. On the other end of that sword, on the other blade of that sword, you have to also understand the logistics behind doing it. If you can't sit down and look at a budget that a movie has
Mhm.
and look at the breakdown of that budget and look at the entire like the works of the people that are involved with it, then you won't gain an understanding of what's happening with it. You won't do it. So you're going to be mad, you're going to be upset, you're going to be pissed off, and you're going to be like, I hate this or I don't like that without
Mhm.
context. And
Right.
you really can't truly call yourself a fan if you don't understand the context.
Yeah, and people love to armchair quarterback that shit too, don't they? Like they love to sit back and say, after someone's been working on a script and a director's been directing a movie and they've been working on this for two and
Right.
a half years, and it's just a massive hundreds of millions of dollars investment and a gigantic production in 17 different
Yes.
countries, and then you got
Yes.
people want to sit back and be like, well, they should have just done this. Like, okay, well,
Right.
where exactly, like, I get it. Okay, have your opinions about it, think what you want about how you think the story could have been better, let that be a
Jesse.
suggestion for how you think it might have gone, but
No,
don't
JC.
mm,
Just say it.
what's
Just say it. Just you don't know what the fuck you're talking about, dude. Be
yeah.
quiet. Stop being a jerk.
Mhm.
And understand what's happening here, Jess. Just tell them, Jess. You're being nice, Jesse. Tell them.
I
Tell
am
their
being
asses.
nice, you're right.
You tell their asses that what they're doing, they need to reevaluate their, what they're saying because there's no logic behind it. Absolutely no
Right.
logic behind it.
And see, well, it's not the. I'm being fairly nice to the armchair quarterbacks and to the people who have their own strong, particular opinions and the ones that can get a little huffy about what they wanted to see. I'm being nice to them because those.
Right.
I'm in my head. They're people who express their opinions in a somewhat reasonable way. What I'm getting around
I
to,
respect that.
what I'm getting around to, and without having to mention all of the racists and misogynists and people
Yes.
like that love to
Right.
jump in and have opinions about
We
who
don't talk
should and
about that.
shouldn't play certain roles
Fuck
and
them.
who should be able to write this or that.
Right.
And That's just straight bullshit. But then there's also folks that are this. It's the fucking gatekeepers, man. Those are the ones that piss me off
Oh
the
my
worst
god.
because the people. Okay, just for, in case anybody's listening and don't not necessarily know what I mean by that term, gatekeepers are the
Mm.
people you probably encountered online before who feel like they are the only ones who understand how a particular thing is to be appreciated. That there's only
Right.
one way to like it, there's only one reason to like it, and you have to have
Correct.
liked it for a certain amount of time, or you don't count as a fan, or you have to be this type of person, or you don't count as a fan. It's straight horseshit. And it's frustrating to see that because all you're doing is you're not making yourself look good. You're not like making yourself look
Right.
knowledgeable. You're making yourself look like an asshole, and you're
Right.
excluding people that you could, we were talking about, having a community and feeling like part of a group. You're pushing away and excluding people who could be part of that group and could be like people that you'd want to know, just because these folks feel like they have the right somehow to keep the gate and decide who's a real fan and who's not. And that's why our whole philosophy with who's a fan and who's not is fuck gatekeeping. If do you like the like our only test is, do you like the thing that you like? Okay, cool, then you
Right.
pass the test. That's it doesn't
Right.
matter why you like it or how long you've been into it or whether or not you've ever seen an episode of Star Trek or never seen a Star Wars. It doesn't matter. Are
Exactly.
you interested in it
Right.
now? Would you like to know
Right.
something about it? Then yeah, come on in. There's no one way to experience or enjoy things, and it's the most arrogant shit for people to try to try to talk like they somehow are the arbiters of what's acceptable as a fan. That goes entirely counter to what we were talking about with fandom as a community and as a
Right.
therapeutic pursuit. That's what pushes people away from it. Do you know how many
Right.
people? I'm sorry, I'm going off on a little rant here.
No, you know, go
So,
continue. Continue.
all right. So there's a with take Dungeons and Dragons. There's a great
Yes.
group around here around Atlanta, ATL D&D. One of our directors, Jacob, is one of the co-founders of that, and they do all these really cool events. Before they weren't allowed to anymore because of the pandemic, they would do all these great events for like beginners, people that were interested in D&D because it's had a big resurgence the last several years, and there are a lot of people interested in it now that didn't really know much about it before. So they'd do these like, are you new to it? Then here's the basics of being a DM. Here's the basics of how to create a campaign. Here's how to write a character sheet. They did some specific events on like, women who want to be part of it, women and girls who want to learn
Mm-hmm.
more about it. And that one really resonated and got a lot of people into it because there are so many women and girls who tried to play D&D and were just as interested as their male counterparts when they were young and got immediately
Right.
shut out because of these gatekeeping dickweeds that just decided this, oh, well, you're a girl, you can't play with us. And
It's
now
fucking
it sounds like
stupid.
I'm talking about little boys. It sounds like I'm talking about little boys in a
No,
clubhouse.
you're
Now
talking about grown
there's
men.
I'm talking about like 35-year-olds saying you can't play
Right.
with us because you're a girl.
Right.
Um,
Right.
so what they've done is like there's like a whole generation of really excellent players and DMs who could contribute a ton to the Dungeons and Dragons community, with especially with all the different ways there are now to get things out there, like online campaigns and just in writing source books and all kinds of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
There's a whole generation of them that just got shut out of it because they got pushed away and they're like, all right, screw that. That's a place where that's a game that assholes play. It sounds like a cool game, but
Yes.
these guys
Yes.
suck, so I don't want any part of
Yeah.
it. So yeah, like
You know.
that's why gatekeeping sucks. You're ruining the community. Stop doing it, and start just accepting that if people like things, let them like things and
I've
let them play.
I've I've had to more times than not reintroduce people to things
Mhm.
because of asshole gatekeepers. I've had
Yeah.
to reintroduce people to anime. I've had to reintroduce people to comics. I've had to reintroduce people to characters in comics because of gatekeepers. I've had to
Mhm.
reintroduce people to Sherlock Holmes because of
Wow.
shitty gatekeepers.
And it
Shit,
doesn't have to be that way. Like it can
it
be
doesn't
such
make
a
any
good
sense.
community.
It's Sherlock Holmes,
It's yeah,
but
and
who's but there are people who think that they know the best way to interpret something that's already laid out on paper for you.
mhm.
It's in the words what this
Yeah,
means, what kind of it's in the words why he doesn't waste his brain power on things that he considers not important when he needs to fill it with knowledge on chemicals and poisons, and it's not hard to figure that out.
Hmm.
It's right there, but it it goes back. I think it really just kind of goes back to ridiculous human interpretations of things that are already right there. If it's art and it's something that you need to see and everyone takes something from it, that's different. And most people who understand that don't argue over art.
Right.
They don't
It's just
argue
the
over it.
people who feel like who have this undeserved sense of ownership. Like they feel like that because they
It's
experienced
hubris.
it, that they own it now, and they can, and they're supposed to, they feel entitled. It's such a huge sense of entitlement to feel like that
It's
they have some say in how it should be written or how it should be portrayed or how it should be appreciated. It's
it's
so arrogant.
ego. It's ego and hubris, and it goes into it's the poison in fandom. It's one of the poisons in fandom, besides the other isms and misogyny, sexism, ageism, racism,
Hmm.
those particular things, which I really don't want to even waste time talking about. We all know they
Not
suck.
today. We'll have
We're
episodes about
moving.
those.
We will have episodes about it, and I will be roasting some marshmallows while I'm roasting some assholes.
Nice.
But and maybe cooking some pancakes at the same time. But
Hmm.
you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah,
This is it's something that needs to stop. It's
it
something
is.
that hurts the community that they
It
want to be a
does.
part of. So if they can understand that what they're doing is not helping but only hurting the situation, then you would hope that they would stop. But no, they don't.
Well, and it
They just
especially
keep going.
matters. Yeah, they do, and it especially matters right now because like the whole point of what we're talking about today is about how we can use our fandoms as therapy via just the entertainment of the thing
Right.
itself, or because of the community of people that also enjoy the things that we like. And like you said, that's the poison in it, is people being gatekeepers and people being of various isms and screwing it up. So, and like you said, they don't seem, it's hard to get through to people like that. So what we can talk about is some ways that to make that better. Like what can we actually do to help that out? Like ATL D&D that I mentioned earlier, they're doing some really good stuff because they're very, very welcoming to newbies in
Right.
Dungeons and Dragons.
Now,
You
what
mentioned
group is that again?
Sherlock. That's ATLD&D at
Do they have a
AT&T.
website?
Yeah, I think they're at atldnd.com. I know you can find them on Twitter and stuff. Really good folks. Um,
Nice, nice.
so that, and you mentioned Sherlock too. One of the things that's been done to partially rehabilitate that fandom is our friends started 221B Con here in Atlanta.
Oh, I want to
Um,
go, dude. Oh, I want to
it's
go
so
one
much
year.
fun.
Oh,
We've been to it a couple of times, and it
oh
is
God.
just the most, like, it is the nicest bunch of people. Everyone just gets along great. It's a wonderful community. It's put on by
Mm.
great people. And we try to do a lot of this at Multiverse too. Like we create an intentionally welcoming environment. It doesn't matter if you're an old fan or a new fan or where you come from. So I think that's the best thing that like fans can do in general is seek out things like that to be a part of and support the things that are
Hmm.
actually trying to do fandom in a way that is more open and welcoming to people and a lot less toxic. Um, Search for those things, and we'll try to talk about them on here too, so people can get some suggestions on where to go to find them.
Holy
Um,
shit, dude!
what?
If they're the gatekeepers, we're the key masters.
Ah, nice. We got to do something with
If
that.
they're the
uh,
gatekeepers, we're the key masters. That's
Very
right.
nice. I like it. So yeah, that's something that can be done. Like, and that's trying to turn a battleship. You know, it'll take a long time,
Right.
but I think
Oh yeah.
there are enough people that really want to be a part of these communities and want them to be better. That just seeking out the communities that are doing it the right way or trying to do it the right way and support those, and shit, starve the rest of them for oxygen. Just don't give them your
Yeah.
time. Don't let them thrive.
Let
Um,
that fire die out. Let
yeah,
it die out.
exactly. Um, and then so we were going to talk about like all those things that we like. It's important to remember that these were all created by creative people, and
Right.
that's what gets forgotten a lot of the time, is that there are people that put their heart and soul and blood, sweat, and tears into making these things that we enjoy so much, and a lot of them are really taking a hit right now because they're not able to sell their stuff in the way that they normally would. Plus, a lot of them have lost day jobs and things like that. A lot of them are relying on their creative income at this point. So,
Unfortunately. Yeah.
yeah, it's rough for a lot of folks. And I know that that probably applies to a lot of people that might be listening too, that
Yeah.
you may not really have the ability to financially help support those folks.
But there are
But
things that you can do.
yes, if you actually can go and find like whoever your friends are, or the the authors that you like, the artists, they've all
Right.
got stuff for sale. I promise you.
Yeah.
You can find them or ask them if you have to. Just be like, hey, you got anything out for sale right now? What's coming up? Like, what would help you out? And you get something, they get something. It's just important to remember they probably need it right now. So if you have the means to buy more art and buy more books and subscribe to more things, or go on people's Patreons or whatever, if you have the means to do that, now would be a really good time. And from what I'm hearing from a lot of folks, every little bit helps.
You can always street team for these people too. I mean, you have a Facebook page, you have social media. You can place their books and you can place their artwork on your page. You can put links for their websites. You can get them coffees. You can, if you can support them in any way like that, you can do that. You can go to Amazon. You can review their works because it helps
Yes,
get them
reviews.
numbers up. You can review works in other places because it helps them get their numbers up and
Hmm.
get their views looked at. They start to come up top. They start to climb a little bit more and more and more and more on that Google search list when you put their information in, and just share. And because there is one of your friends that might have an extra 5 or 10 or 15 bucks to buy or get something that might be interested in it. So you're creating new fandom, you're creating new therapeutic situations, and
Hmm.
you're starting to do something that the gatekeepers have not been doing, and that's cycling that the goodness that
Yes,
is fandom. You're cycling it out, and you're
circulate the goodness
helping
through the
people.
system.
Right, you're
Get that
circulating the
fresh,
system.
good, healthy
Right,
blood flowing through. And
absolutely, and it keeps everybody happy, healthy, and alive. It really does.
yeah, so that's I wanted to touch on something that you talked about there, that which are ways that people can support. I know this is specific to authors, ways that you can support writers that you like, if, even if you don't have a dollar to spend on it. Those reviews, you're absolutely right, because especially on Amazon and Goodreads, those two in
Right,
particular, they are algorithmic, and how often people will see, like you said, how often people will see that book come up in their suggestions has a lot to do with whether or not that book has reached a threshold of a certain number of
right.
reviews. So
That's
if
right.
you go on there and just leave, I mean, short review, just give it, 5 stars, really enjoyed this, great characters, done. It takes a couple minutes, and a handful of those can bump them up over that threshold and start getting their
Right.
book really disseminated to a lot more
Really
people.
right. When
It
that
really,
Facebook
from
that
what I've heard, it makes a big difference.
it
And
does. When that Amazon page pops up and it's in your suggestions, it goes into other people's suggestions that your friend. It really and it pops. That page pops up and it gives you like book recommendations. It really does help them. It really
hmm
does.
And there's another way too, which is that like you can do that. That's free. And then also, a lot of people don't know this about how libraries work. Like a lot of people who are fans of authors will think, well, I don't have the money to buy your book, and I'm sorry for checking it out from the library. Authors love libraries because the
Yep.
libraries buy those copies. They
Hmm.
buy a certain number of copies, or in the case of digital books, they buy the rights to a certain number of licenses, and so the authors get paid when their book is
Yep.
at a library. So one thing you can do is increase the demand for it. If there's a book, an author that you particularly like, call your library, call your local library, call a few of them if you have to. They don't know where you live, and ask, like, request a particular book. Get the books that you like from the authors you like on these libraries lists. They'll order them. The authors get paid, and you didn't spend anything, and you get to read the book for free. So
Yep.
yeah, libraries and reviews, that's two of the biggest things you can do. And another thing that's not necessarily offering financial support to them, but it helps with a signal boost, and it's just a nice thing to do. Go on to their Twitter feed or their Facebook page or whatever, and this goes for any kind of creator that you're enjoying their stuff. Just go on there and say something nice. Just tell them, hey, I just finished your book, or I just read your comic. It was really cool. Gave me a boost. Whatever nice thing you have to say about it. If you got bad stuff to say about it, then, maybe keep your mouth shut about that, because nobody needs to hear it. But if you
Right.
got nice things to say, go put something nice out there. It really does. These are people on the other end of those social media accounts, and it really can make a huge difference to them. A lot of them are struggling right now, and I mean, you can do that for anybody. We're just kind of focused on fandom and creators today, but go say something nice about what the music they made or the art they made or whatever. It really it can save the day for a lot of them. It can change the whole tempo of what they're doing.
Right. It's something that's really important, and it really it continues the entertainment and enjoyment for you. It keeps
Mm-hmm.
them. It keeps their bills paid,
Mm-hmm.
and they can continue to create more content for us. So it's
Yes,
I mean it's a win-win situation. It's a win-win situation.
it is. Yeah, it's a great thing to do. So you got any before we got a few more minutes left, but you got any particular things you've been enjoying like this past couple of weeks you want to throw out there and recommend to people?
No, this past couple of weeks have been hell because I've been working on trying to figure out how to do this podcast without sounding like
Right.
a complete idiot, and trying to come up with the best ideas, and researching how this works, and really kind of diving into podcasting in general.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just kidding. It hasn't been hell. I mean, other than like having my stomach issues and my neurotic anxiety,
Mm-hmm.
it's been good. My wife is off for a few days extra that she doesn't usually normally get off.
That's great.
It's worth it. I enjoy seeing her beautiful face every day. She probably doesn't enjoy hearing my loud ass mouth every day, but I appreciate my kids and my wife putting up with me. Um, just being able to kind of relax and feeling a little bit better helps.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as fandom goes, I've been
Mm-hmm.
looking up books that I normally would not have read.
Oh yeah, we had talked about that. Find something you didn't know existed before.
Right, and I found out that I am going to die without reading them all because there's just too fucking many.
Now, see, I love that.
I do. I
To
love
me,
it
that's
too.
good news. That means you'll
I
never run
love it
out.
too. I love it too. But it makes me wish for immortality. I
Yes,
love
it
it too. But
does.
I wish for immortality because I want to read all the things.
Yeah.
I want to read I want to read all the things. I want to watch all the things, and I'm happy that my kids are going to be able to experience it, and hopefully everything keeps up. You know, where we can continue to transfer data to our ancestors well to not our ancestors, our descendants.
Yeah.
So you see what I'm saying?
I
Our
didn't even catch it.
descendants, right? And I wouldn't have caught it if I didn't stop and say that sounded stupid. Fix it. Our descendants, so they can read all the things. Maybe not all of them. You know what I'm saying? Some computers out there reading all the things, and I'm hoping that computer enjoys the shit out of it.
Yeah.
But
And they can sum it up
those
for
are
us later.
right. Those are the things that I've been doing. I am fucking waiting on this game to come out in 2 months. Ghost of Tsushima.
Oh yeah.
It is all the things Japanese nerd that I love so much. I'm refusing to use a few phrases to describe myself
Hmm.
because those phrases have become derogatory in some communities, so I will not use them.
Gotcha. Hmm.
But I I get to play I get to play what essentially is a Akira Kurosawa film in
It
black
looks
and white with
amazing.
film gradient. I'm gonna play the first one in black and white with film gradient unless there's some reason for me to have to unlock something or buy the gradient. But damn, I cannot wait till this game comes out.
It looks so
I
good.
would love if someone created a series that was a samurai epic that showed wars and things like a live action series. I would kill for that. That would be
Hmm.
like today. I would kill. That would be nice. But that's the game I'm waiting for. I
Hmm.
cannot wait to get it. I'm going to stream it. I'm going to talk about it a lot in the podcast in
Oh
the
yeah.
future. So
We'll be
just
playing it at
note,
the same time, probably.
yes, we will be playing it. Maybe we should get together and just stream it together and watch it or
Yep.
something, or and go back and play. We could all get like dual stream on Mixer or something that's
Oh yeah.
possible. I'll show you
You
how
have
to
to
set
tell me
that
how
up
all that
later.
works. Yeah, I have no
Yeah.
idea.
We'll do all of that, and we can have like a little little glitchy podcast stream, and
Yeah, yeah, a little
and
something on the side.
right, and this will be recorded. We can put it on YouTube later of us just bullshitting with alcohol in our systems, playing Ghost of Tsushima, just walking around samuraiing and ninja the shit out of people.
I am loving
Those are
this
not
idea,
words.
and the only problem I have with this idea is that it's not currently happening.
It's happening right now, right? It's
Yeah,
not happening right now. That's the only bad thing about this idea is that we have to wait. We have to
yeah, that's
wait
the
for
only
it.
downside. Well, I
But
got a
what do
couple.
you?
I had made note of a couple of things I've enjoyed the past couple of weeks.
Yes,
One of them was I watched the. I don't think I talked about this on the last one. I watched the miniseries Devs on Hulu.
dude, we're on the last episode. We haven't watched the last episode yet.
Okay, I'm not going to spoil anything. It is fantastic. It's for
Oh yeah,
anybody who wants to check it out. It's I think what is it 8-10 episodes. It's
yes.
it's really atmospheric, really gorgeously shot and designed,
Stop,
high concept
stop,
science fiction.
stop. You have to stop. No, you have to stop.
All
You
right,
have to
all right.
stop. You have to stop because the only reason you have to stop because it has to be experienced. Am I
You're right.
right?
Okay, well let me switch gears then. It's directed
Yes.
by
There we
Alex
go.
Garland.
Uh-huh.
Who directed some of my favorite stuff. 28 Days Later,
28 days later. Yeah, man.
Sunshine,
Yes.
Ex Machina, which I think is one of the best
Mm-hmm.
science fiction
Oh
movies of the
God.
last 10 years.
Whitney watched Ex Machina and she fucking loved Ex Machina.
Oh yeah. So that's who's behind it, and it stars Nick Offerman in a serious role. Ron Swanson from Parks and Recreation.
Fucking
So
love
and
Nick
he does an
Offerman.
amazing job. Anyway, that's absolutely worth a watch. I'm in terms of what I'm reading, I'm finishing up Empress of Forever by Max Gladstone, which is really just pretty kick ass. I mentioned it in the last episode, so I won't get too much into it right now. I'm also rereading something that for therapeutic effect because this was something I found when I was about 8 years old in my school library, and it's my favorite book of all
Uh-oh.
time, The
Oh
Phantom
God.
Tollbooth.
The Phantom Tollbooth.
Yeah,
the one I gave back to you. The one
yeah,
that Reg...
you gave me back that copy that Reggie read,
you read
and
it.
I had to. I got it back. I was like, man, I've probably reread that book 10 times.
I
But
knew
for
you were gonna reread it. I knew it. As soon as
yeah.
I gave it back to you, I was like, he's gonna reread this shit.
Well,
He
see, it
just
was,
bad.
and it actually is. I mean, it's a portal fantasy story,
Right.
and it is it's the thing that really. I mean, I was reading a lot prior to finding that one, and I loved the Chronicles of Narnia and a few other things, but that was really the first one that kicked off where I was like, I just felt like I needed to read constantly ever since then, because it just. I think it's one of the best children's books ever. It's this really clever, like full of wordplay and puns, and it's this kind of wild portal fantasy that it's just I don't know. It's an experience, and it's still. I mean, it's just as fun to read now as it was when I was 8 years old, and I don't think I've ever had a better, like, more relaxing and satisfying experience from reading a book ever since then. It's fantastic therapy. So if you've never read that, it doesn't matter that it's a kid's book. You can read it for yourself. The Phantom Tollbooth by Norton Juster. And if you have read it, or if you don't feel like reading a kid's book or whatever, if you got kids, get it for your kids. That you will not regret it. They'll be happy that that they got to experience that as kids. So that's all the recommendations I got right now. I guess we can probably get on out of here and let people get back to their lives, but hopefully it's been a little helpful for some folks.
I'm going to hold on to their souls for a little bit longer.
Okay.
I just want to say this. While we have it here, while we're here, I like to thank you for your time. This is enjoyable.
Yeah.
I like to thank everyone who's listening for their time. This is enjoyable. And we really hope you enjoyed your nice heaping helping of glitchy pancakes.
Yes, very much so. Yeah, seriously, thanks everybody for everybody who's listening for taking the time to hang out with us a little bit. It gives us a reason to talk, and hopefully you get a little bit of entertainment out of it. If you have suggestions or things you'd like to see us do, or ideas, comments, whatever, you can send them to our email, which is cakespod, CAKESPOD @gmail.com. We'll be setting up social media and stuff like that eventually. For now, if you got anything you want to talk to us about, just send us an email at cakespod@gmail.com. And I guess we're going to get on out of here, huh, Rob?
Yeah, we're going to get on out of here.
All right.
I had fun. This was a good little ditty.
Yeah, I like it.
Hope you are enjoying your fandom as therapy. And please give us some feedback. Again, at cakespod@gmail.com. Love you guys. We're out of here.
See everybody later. Bye.